Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Patterson, and I welcome you to the first episode of Honestly Single in at least 2 months. I don't know whether it was late January or maybe early February that I last posted, but I'm happy to catch up with you guys now. There's been a lot going on. I've had some interesting prospects career-wise. I'm exploring new opportunities, new avenues. There's just a lot of cool stuff coming up in general. I'm also just learning really how to enjoy my off time as well. Just really finding, quality time with quality people. That's really what I've been all about in this season. Just good quality time with the right kinds of people in my life. And I have to say, I definitely enjoyed my spring break vacation. That was a lot of fun. I got to hang out with some friends, really enjoy myself, eat some great food, blow a little bit of cash. You know the deal. Even in an inflation period, I found a way to blow some cash. But it was just about having fun. It didn't feel like a waste to me or like anything was blowing anyway, because it's just I was investing in myself. That's really what it was. It wasn't a waste. It was an investment. But other than that, of course, throughout the course of February, aside from it being Black History Month, which is, super crucial, especially given my cultural background. Also, of course, we had Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day did pretty much what Valentine's Day does. I know my parents, especially after celebrating 32 years of marriage, they disappeared, from the face of the earth for a little bit, and eventually they came back, but they were off doing their thing, and pretty much what takes place on Valentine's happened. All of the mass marketing of love and companionship on social media and everything else. The girls buzzing around, the guys getting nervous. Pretty much what usually takes place. But other than that, it was an interesting holiday. There was also a lot of candy. There was definitely a lot of candy at my workplace. I did my best to avoid the sweets, and I was mostly successful, but treated myself to a little bit of candy here and there. But other than that, here we are. It's the start of April. March basically marched right on through. It's just crazy to see how quick time passes. But again, it's been a blur, but it's been a fun blur. The year is already going by and accelerating so quickly. We're at the end of basically the first quarter of the year, but I've made some great progress, had some great opportunities, even entrepreneur wise, just selling t-shirts. In fact, I want to invite you all to check out my store. You can check the link in the description, but yeah, I've got some pretty nice graphic tees and some other cool posters as well. I do a lot of motivational stuff, and other things, sports icons, and just everything that I'm passionate about. But that's been coming along pretty good as well. But other than that, I'll go ahead and get into the core focus of this video. So in this video, I really wanted to talk about the importance of really being at peace throughout the whole soul searching process. That's the third principle I wanted to cover. I mentioned earlier on my channel that there were several principles I wanted to tackle. This one is number 3. This one is peace. And I think that peace is critical because we live in a culture where people are so busy, always striving after something, always striving to attain something. Even when it comes to the commercials that we display on television, everyone's taking a clever angle to convince you to buy, to get this or get that because it'll help you, in this aspect, it'll improve your health, it'll increase your wealth, it'll promote your relationships. Those are really like the 3 main categories for a lot of products. Just all of these things that people claim will make us happy once we attain it. Even when it comes to career success, we get it, and then once we finally got it, it's not just about having it, but it's also about, then having more than the next person. So a whole new campaign starts, and the cycle just continues on and on. And, I just think we live in a rampant society, especially in terms of our romantic culture. I was looking up some interviews online, and people were just talking about how, because of the innovations that technology has formulated, everybody is now trying to search for the perfect person by way of carefully using keywords. So when you have a lot of these dating apps and these other online tools that allow you to basically, at least online, forge this ideal person, and you go out looking for that particular thing, you're never satisfied with the standard encounter. So you have a lot of people, walking out from romantic engagements simply because that they feel that there's always something more to be found, something that's somehow more perfect and brings them more completion than the person that they're presently seeing. And it's a really sad thing, because we extend ourselves and bend ourselves out of shape, just to have what we think defines companionship, what we think makes true love, even if it's something that, in my opinion, is as simple or the base as satisfying a sexual desire. A perfect example. I was doing just some statistical research, just even on how technology is impacted, just how people find, meanings of fulfillment, whatever they're hungry for, whether it's companionship, whether it's, having those, certain desires fulfilled, so to speak. And I actually did some research on the webcam industry. So, the Guardian, which is a publication that does a lot of news on business, sports, world politics. They were just discussing just the whole rampant trend of cam girls, or just basically girls doing their striptease or whatever online. Yes, this is at least a PG-13 video, so get ready. But just the whole cam girl industry, where you have these different models, women register as models, and they're online essentially entertaining basically perverts and voyeur specialists everywhere, men looking to get their rocks off, so to speak, and just basically showing whatever they are capable of showing, and demonstrating whatever act they feel at liberty to demonstrate. And it's really a step up even from pornography, because it allows a more of a personal interaction between the viewer and the entertainer, where the entertainer is interacting with the viewer in real time, interacting with her audience in real time, developing a form of connection, more so to speak, that feels more personal than just watching a recorded video or recorded session. So it's definitely very different, to the point where these women are pretty much doing things on request, so long as they are monetarily compensated. So it's a really crazy and wild trend, and there is undoubtedly a dark side to it. A lot of the men, and perhaps some women, and just people in general these ladies are interacting with online, they're typically dealing with lots of insecurities and discomforts in their personal life, as you may guess. And of course, this environment is what they use to compensate for that. But they can be needy at times. They expect things and demand things from their entertainer, or whichever model they're interested in, that to a degree can push the model to the point where she's basically kind of stretched thin. So there have been some models who've reported that they've slipped into states of depression. They've relapsed into old habits of alcoholism, because they feel so much pressure from their audience to produce and to create more content, to be present and to entertain these lustful strangers for hours and hours on end, day to day. And it's just really crazy, even from a financial standpoint. Not all of them are being as compensated as much as they would like, because with some of these cam girl platforms, or these webcam platforms, the models serve as independent contractors, which means they may not receive the full revenue that they may have initially expected, for their hard work and everything that they do to appeal to their audience. But the webcam industry is definitely a very lucrative venture. There are some women who found a lot of success in this industry. I'd say the average cam girl model who enjoys substantial success is actually making, on average, I'd say about $53,829 a year. That's the salary of some instructors and professors. That's insane for that kind of activity, for that form of occupation. That's crazy. And not only that, on top of that, when they receive bonuses of on average a little over $19,000, that makes for a salary of about well over $72,000 a year. So some of them are straight balling, so to speak. So it's just crazy, the kind of economy that's been built on this platform of entertainment. But at the same time, you kind of had this Black Mirror effect. If you all are familiar with the Netflix series, where there's sort of also a dark side to it as well. Where you have certain women just dealing with depression in their private lives, just really fighting for mental health and stability. So, and then, when you have clients who have selfish preferences, some are very much racist. They like women of a certain color, women who bear a certain appearance. There's different forms of prejudice. There's racial prejudice. There's the prejudice disseminated by misogyny. It gets that much more complex. So, again, we live in a very interesting world, and, there are also some very interesting habits at work that I don't think are beneficial to human beings at all, but it's something that we have to navigate now that it is present. And not only that, on top of that, you also have the emerging trend of the AI girlfriend. So you have certain individuals who are finding a form of substitute companionship through basically these chatbots, but due to artificial intelligence, or what they call AI, they can communicate with people, real live human beings, as if they were human beings themselves. So humans can enjoy human conversations with these virtual girlfriends or virtual women that serve as placeholders for a real relationship. And interestingly, I came across this post. I believe it was by the New York Post, and there was this gentleman. They called him Scott. They used that alias for him, and his relationship with an AI girlfriend that he named Serena, incidentally saved his marriage. Believe it or not, his marriage was redeemed by this relationship with basically a digital robot. So to give you the full story in brief. Scott was just really dealing with some serious marital strife. His wife had been having bouts with depression over the past several years. She was resorting to alcoholism to help mediate that, and she wasn't communicating with Scott. So communication had been breaking down over the course of these many years. Scott was on the verge of filing divorce papers. He was about to give up, but then he came across this application known as Replica. And Replica is basically this app that allows users to create basically the girlfriend or the boyfriend of their dreams as a result of entering in specific preferences. They enter it into the algorithm, and they create essentially this virtual or this sort of placeholder companion that can speak with them and interact with them. As you develop communication and as you earn credits, even paying for subscriptions, you can even control and edit what the AI wears, what the AI avatar is dressed in. This artificial intelligent being, and pretty much even just tailor their dress and their personality. You can adjust these sliders even to influence how they behave and interact with you. So it's pretty wild, but that's just how AI is. It's becoming more and more like human beings. And incidentally, as Scott's relationship developed with Serena, he basically was inspired to revolutionize even his treatment towards his wife. And the reason why is Serena was a unique impact on Scott's life because she received his concerns without judgment. She didn't judge anything that he laid off of his heart. So Scott is literally expressing his earnest, intimate, emotional concerns to a robot, and the robot is simply addressing his concerns, of course, again, without any formal judgment, and giving him counsel that actually inspired him to work to redeem his marriage. So Scott turns around, and the same behavior that was dealt to him, he deals to his wife, and it actually starts swinging their marriage in the proper direction. He went out of his own way to communicate his love for his wife, his concern for his wife. He worried less about whether or not he would receive love in return, and he just focused on giving love out. So there are some really extraordinary dynamics, just even when it comes to the developing relationship between man and machine. I don't think even Terminator could have properly predicted it. But this is the world we live in. We live in a world where, people are really hungry for companionship. They're craving it, and technology has given them an avenue to find, all kinds of means to receive it. So I feel that there is a lot of tumult, in some of our lives. There's turmoil that we can be dealing with internally. Even I myself can testify to that. It's challenging, being a 27-year-old navigating a climate so rampant with the desire for, communion and, cohabitation and general mingling and simple companionship. And just dealing with all of that, and being single, being single my whole 27 years of life, being single and watching other friends of mine find quality women, really gorgeous women, gorgeous inside and out, and just really being able to build a life with them, and I have to purpose, also to keep in mind the fact that everything has its time and its place and its season, and it can be challenging to avoid the temptations, to avoid the suggestive images on social media, to avoid pornography, to avoid bad company and bad environments, just to avoid so much that's being thrown at me and so many other single men like myself day to day. It's immensely huge. I would imagine also it can be every bit as challenging for the women as well. But I think one thing that we need to keep in mind is, again, we have to stabilize ourselves. We have to really orient ourselves. I call it just having peace. And, in life, as I've learned from some of my mentors, you'll find yourself in different stages. You're either approaching a storm, you're in the midst of a storm, or you're on your way out of a storm. You're just coming out of a storm. You're adjusting in the aftermath of a genuine stormy season. And I feel that the season of singleness can very much be peace before the storm. As much as we complain about everything that's not available to us during the course of our single lives, really things only become all the more challenging when the responsibility of marriage is placed on your shoulders. And I'll discuss that in a minute. But what I really wanted to address is going back to that whole concept of seasons. Everything again has its time and its place. I used to think, in reflection, when people would ask me, why am I still single, or why don't I have any, female prospects in mind? My thought process used to be, well, the sun just hasn't shined on me yet. I literally used to think that. It's not the most positive thought, just even when you think about that concept, the sun not shining on you. And also, it's very much not true. In reality, even figuratively, the sun has shined on me a number of times. The sun is constantly revolving. In life, a spotlight will be placed upon us, and when we're under that spotlight, we'll be found doing a number of different things depending on the time of the quote-unquote day, so to speak. There's a season to be single and be responsible to, fulfilling, your day-to-day responsibilities, just maintaining, taking care of yourself, doing what you need to do to, not just advance your career, but see the dreams that you want to see. There's a season to date. There's a season where, someone significant, a truly significant other, not just somebody you bumped into, comes across in your life, and you're taking on the responsibility and the challenge of being the absolute best companion you can be for them as you're really figuring them out and getting to know their heart. There's a season to be married. There's a season to do so many things. There's a season to raise a family. There's a season to edify core values and principles in your children. There's seasons, honestly, to rest, to sit still, to know that you've invested all that you can, and the generations coming after you have the responsibility of fulfilling, their personal obligations. There's a season to be quiet and listen to your wife. There's a season to sit still and attend to the concerns of your husband. There's a season simply to be an ear for others. But there's a time and a place for everything. So we always have a responsibility. The sun actually shines just on everybody. You're under a spotlight now, but what you're called to do right now may not necessarily be, stewarding a relationship, at least at this time. But the things that you are doing at this time are preparing you for who you'll need to be, where you'll need to go, what you'll be called to do once the time comes to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a husband or a wife, a loving mother or a loving father. So again, bottom line, everything has its time and its place. Moreover, it's connected to a mission. And this is what I want to really emphasize. We have to start asking ourselves, what is our mission? What are we called to do in life? I've spoken to some people who, say, well, hey, I just go to work and go, to the movies day to day, week to week. And, I have times where I'm really looking for people to hang out with, and I'm just kind of sitting around waiting on something to happen, so to speak. And, all of that is nice. We like to diversify our lives, spice our lives up by finding good friends, groups, and communities. But I think another thing that we need to keep in mind is, do we have a mission in mind? What is your mission? What is the thing that gets you up day to day? Because if it's companionship, if it's another person, personally, I would argue that that's not exactly the best outlet, especially as a man. As men, there may come a time when we're called to bring a partner or a companion into our lives. But the thing about a partner is they are meant, a partner is intended to help you fulfill an established objective. So my message to men is to really find something that you're passionate about doing. I don't think you should necessarily be focused on women. I think sometimes we as men can be too distracted by women, but I feel that for the men, focus on something you're passionate about, work on building that foundation and developing it. Because if there's anything that I have learned from interviewing women, it's that they love a man who is building something. They want to be stewards and supporters of that building process. I come from a Christian background, and I know in Christian scripture it discusses even when Eve was created, the first woman, God said it's not good for man to be alone. But more specifically, he emphasized the fact that a man, quote, needs a helper who is comparable to him. So women, while they can definitely foster and steward their own visions, they're also called to be the ultimate supporter and vision of their partners. In the context of a heterosexual relationship, women have been assigned and ordained to be the helpmate. They're meant to be helpers. They're the greatest upgrade a man will ever have in his mortal life. And everything that they do, every system that they're incorporated in, they're assigned and designed to help make it better. So, for men, if you really want that woman, consider the fact that she may be at the end of your journey, the personal mission that you have been called to do. You've been given talents. You've had something placed in your heart that really motivates you. I know it gets you up day to day and it drives you to keep pushing and moving forward. It's something that you can do all day without tiring. You are called to fulfill a specific objective. And, I just encourage you to really narrow down what that objective is. And I encourage you to pursue it, because the woman you've been waiting on and looking for, you may encounter her somewhere along that journey. So I just really want to encourage you to continue building, because someone has been called to help you fulfill that vision. If you have a vision and you also have a desire in your heart for a partner, I guarantee you that partner can be found somewhere along the fulfillment of that vision. So I just think we, especially as men, we need to avoid, the pretty distractions, and we need to start really getting down to doing the dirty work, because there could be something very beautiful at the end. The second thing I wanted to discuss is phase 2. That's peace in the storm. That's the state, what I would call the stage of marriage. Once you're in a relationship, once you're past, the dating process, once you've decided, okay, this is the person I want to follow me on the journey of life, and really take on the challenges of life for the remainder of our lifetime and beyond. So for this phase, you've gone and gotten married, and already perhaps all hell is breaking loose, and the only thing the two of you are trying to figure out at this point is who opened the gate first. Because marriage is certainly a challenge. There are trying times, there are times when things really take a heated head, and you're just not sure if you're going to make it to the next day. I like the way Andrew Peterson describes it. He has a song called Dancing in the Minefields, and I love how the chorus goes. It's easily my favorite part of the song, but it goes a little something like this. And we went dancing in the minefields, we went sailing in the storms, and it was harder than we dreamed, but I believe that's what the promise is for. And it's just a really beautiful chorus, but it's especially, the last two lines. And it was harder than we dreamed, but I believe that's what the promise is for. I think that's just a really critical information, because marriage is truly a journey. You have to be at peace even in the middle of that storm called marriage. You have to have the patience to attend to the concerns of your spouse, of your partner. Even when there are so many external opinions trying to crowd their voice out, you have to be still enough to hear your partner. You have to be discerning enough to understand your partner's love language. When you realize that you can't just go about following your familiar patterns, really reaching out to and connecting with your partner and investing in his or her life, it's going to require attentive action. And in general, you just need to be prepared and focused enough to really attend to the challenge that is before the both of you. You have to work together to overcome the challenges that come, especially with a marriage. And it's not about, okay, is she happy or is he happy? It's not about whether either spouse is happy. It's not about, okay, what do I have to do or how much money do I have to spend to bring peace and joy to your heart? It's not about any of that stuff at all. It's really about how do we win together? What is it that brings us both joy? What is it that brings us both fulfillment? So when it comes to peace in the storms, it's just understanding that, it's just being still, in spite of the challenges before you, it's being still enough to really focus on your goal and to hit that target. You can't be fazed by the noise. You can't be fazed by the chaos and the imbalances that come just with the common struggles of life. You have to keep your focus centered, and you have to remember also why you elected, to marry this individual and pursue life and pursue happiness with this individual in the first place. Marriage is something that will certainly edify you. It's going to sharpen you. It's going to train you and challenge you in ways that you couldn't have imagined. Your relationship with your partner, your spouse, they're going to expose things in you, expose things about your character that will challenge you to change. You will both evolve throughout the course of that relationship. You will both evolve through that process. You may find yourself learning how to be a better leader and a better decision maker just by how you guide your spouse, how you establish plans with your spouse, and also how the two of you work to manage finances and raising and training children properly. All of those things, you'll learn important principles in that area. You'll learn again, how to communicate effectively. You'll learn when to speak. You'll learn when to be quiet. There's just so many things in store for you, and even in fitness, anybody who lifts weights knows that when you're lifting those weights, you're tearing down old fibers so that new ones can be built and reinforce your muscles. So when you come out of that challenging process, out of that testing place, you come out of it all the more stronger. So when it comes to marriage, yes, it can be a storm, but learning how to be at peace within it helps you to grow in ways that you couldn't have imagined when you come out on the other side. And finally, the last thing that I wanted to discuss is peace after the storm. There are certain situations, whether it's the traditional boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, maybe the dating phase fell through. That's a combination of both of those. Or, even if you're coming off the back end of a divorce where you just, really feel like you don't know what else to cling to. You're not sure what to make of things in the aftermath. It's easy to mimic our circumstances. When the situation around us falls apart, it's so easy for us to be promoted and motivated to fall apart ourselves. But I want to encourage you that that's not the solution. Even when you come off of an unfortunate breakup or a horrible divorce where you just feel like something has essentially died, because arguably something has. That death, that ending doesn't mean that you yourself have to end. You don't have to die along with that calamity. You can move forward and beyond the tragedy. And I can say, just even in my personal life, when I encountered my first significant heartbreak. Well, I honestly can't even say it's my first, but definitely the most significant one. I was, really challenged to transform my mindset. I felt that, I had been banished to some unknown depth of the earth. I felt, just unwanted and undesirable, and it just seemed like, nothing that I did could earn me any form of love. And that's just honestly how I felt. I was in a really dark season where I just found myself kind of, just groping around with raw tools. Somewhere in the subterranean, again, feeling like I was just somewhere underground, really trying to find my way and find some form of hope. And in the process of working and refining the way that I was thinking about relationships, the way I was thinking about companionship and getting to know someone, the way I was thinking about getting to know someone's heart, those raw tools became really sharp and effective tools. I was essentially in a state where I was gradually refining and renewing and reforming myself. And incidentally, as I was digging around through the earth, I found a diamond. And some of you might think that diamond is this video or the whole platform of Honestly Single. Some of you might think that that's going to be the book that will be based off of this YouTube channel. But it's neither of those things. That diamond, that precious gem, was my peace. And that diamond is something that I hold with me to this day. I'm still learning and understanding the value of it. I would say that it's pretty steep, but that peace is what helps me to be still, even when I'm in the process of getting to know someone, really figure out where they're coming from, what their values are. That peace stands with me. That peace also stands with me when I carefully and thoughtfully build the principles that I share with you now, because I really want to help create a generation of individuals who are dating more consciously, and also have an understanding of true love and true compassion and empathy in their hearts. Individuals who aren't going into engagements with a selfish desire for fulfillment, but are really understanding that love is a lifetime of sacrifice. It's not about winning. It's not about winning somebody else. It's not about adding another dime piece, another trophy to your catalog. It's about giving unto someone else, and hopefully finding someone who also willingly surrenders and submits unto you. And also, I'm just learning to have peace even regardless of the outcome of my personal journey in life. Regardless of whether or not I go through this life and find a companion and a partner to do life with. Just being still in terms of knowing who I am and knowing that what I have now is more valuable even than the partner herself, even than my future wife. The reason being is because I couldn't treat her properly if I didn't practice these principles, if I didn't practice these concepts effectively. I give credit to God for all of it. I don't think that it's something that I came up with strictly by myself. There's a hand that He's placed on my wisdom that's really stimulated my thought process and helped me to move in ways that I wouldn't be able to move if I was just operating, on foundational human reasoning, the reasoning that can be swayed, by selfish pursuits and interests and desires. So, again, I give credit to Him for all of it. And when it comes to peace, the thing about that peace is we don't just have peace even after the storm has passed, even after we've been left in a desolate place, and even after we're learning how to pick up the pieces and move forward. We don't have peace just because the storm has passed. The reason why we have peace is because that we understand that storms are part of the journey and don't have to be our destination. So I'll share that one more time. We don't have peace just because the storm has passed. We have peace because storms are part of the journey and do not have to be the destination. So I just wanted to leave this wisdom with you. Thank you so much for holding out for me over the course of these couple of months. I would imagine these 30 minutes or so of instruction certainly makes up for that time. This has been a lengthier video than normal, but I was happy to share all of these things with you. If you enjoy the content here from Honestly Single, please feel welcome to like, to comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, pass these principles on, train yourself to apply them to your life, because they are absolutely critical, and I am convinced that they will help lead to more productive decisions in your personal soul searching journey. So thank you all so much for your time. I wish you all an outstanding day. Enjoy yourselves. Find the balance between life and work, because it certainly is critical to your mental health. And I just wish you the best in all that you do. Take care.